Hello, my dear gardeners. Look at this beautiful gem recently I found. This book is written by Josephine Nuese, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Nuese. And this lady wrote the book, The Country Garden. She was born in 1901 and she died in 1974. And majority of her life she spent in Connecticut. And she wrote this book documenting her life as a gardener. And you know what? When I look through library sales, book library sales, or just bookstores, I always look for books which are not telling you do this, how to get the biggest pumpkin or how to get the biggest tomatoes, but books where gardeners write about their lives with the garden, you know. And I feel that in modern age, where everything is so fast and filled with noise and to-do lists, people don't write books like this anymore. They don't feel the garden as well. Or people, the gardeners who do live that life, the quiet, contemplative garden life, they don't write books or they are not making it to the top shelf. So today, let's read a little bit of this book. I will get you acquainted with this beautiful gem. This is my reading book now. And it's written in the way the book is organized. It's organized into 12 chapters, starting from January and finishing in December. And the beginning is just amazing, the way she did it. Let me read it to you. January, a time for dreaming. Anyone who thinks that gardening begins in the spring and ends in the fall is missing the best part of the whole year. For gardening begins in January, begins with the dream. So true, right? Every garden worth the planting must begin with a dream. There is no other way of beginning a garden, unless you are perfectly satisfied with the usual conventional plantings, the horticultural cliches, and if so, there is little sense in you going on with this book. I like how she throws a joke here and there. She gets all poetical and then she brings you down with a joke. Each January is a fresh start. You know that this year, at long last, your garden is going to be perfect. Cascades of never-ending blooms, each plant superbly placed and superbly grown. No weeds, no bugs, no bare spots, no mistakes. And of course, no maintenance. You leaf through the catalogs half drunk with anticipation. For this is the gardener's cocktail hour. And just as in the candlelit dusk of the cocktail hour, all men are brilliant and all women beautiful, so in the catalogs. All plants are enchanting, all blooms unceasingly, all are easy to grow, all suited to your area. It is one of the happiest of all delusions, putting stars into the eyes and mush into the mental processes. It is also a time of danger to the novice in such matters, and I urge you to go slowly, to order only what you can handle wisely and well. If you are an experienced gardener, you already know your limitations, the limitations of your property, and you view the catalogs with a weary eye. Yet you cannot become an experienced gardener without first gaining experience. So why I go on about this is a mystery. Nobody ever pays any attention to such advice anymore, which perhaps is just as well. You know, I see in this paragraph, I see the lifelong gardener right here, because she gets us gardeners so well here, you know. Comes January and we are all into the seed catalogs, and all is just how it's described in this book. At the beginning, I want to read to you how she points for whom this book is. This book is written for those happy people who own small to moderately large properties in or near real country, where plantings, perhaps slightly formal, close to a cherished home, can also ramble informally along the edge of a field or into woodland. It is written also for the people who do much of the work themselves, me and I'm sure a lot of you, encounter endless problems. The 12 chapters take up the activities of each month in turn, from January, which is a time for dreaming and planning, perhaps a walled garden, or a grey and green garden, or a hidden garden, through seed sowing, compost making, the pressures and joys of spring work, to a lull in the heat of midsummer, which invites more dreaming and planning. Then on to the autumn chores and preparations for winter. I'm going through January, and already I love how she describes this hidden garden and gray and green garden. So let's go to that chapter, and I will share with you. First, she's asking a question. What is a garden? First of all, it might be a good idea to establish a mutual understanding of the word garden. Many people confuse a garden with a flower bed, thinking the two are synonymous. Often they are not. A garden may include many flowers, a few or none at all. A flower bed is a collection of blooming plants stuck in because the owner likes them, and there couldn't be a better reason, without consideration of harmony or design. It is usually a riot of color, and as such quickly exhausts the eye and the appreciation. If this is your idea of a garden and it gives you pleasure, by all means go ahead and have it, no matter who says what, this book included. But it is not my idea of a garden. And here goes. I find it very interesting what she says about her idea of a garden. To me, a garden is an area or a series of related areas wherein one finds reassurance and tranquility, surprise and delight. Its beauty lies in the subtle balancing of scale and proportion, line and form, mass and texture, contrast and accord, the whole affiliated yet full of small surprises. Such a garden imparts a benediction, enlarging the mental and emotional habitation. And here comes a little wink. There will now be a brief pause for the departure of those who have decided to chicken out after the above paragraph. Hilarious. I love this book. And then she goes into describing this surprising hidden garden, the best description of the hidden garden. And she's also very good explaining why this riot of color shouldn't be everywhere in the garden. The garden should have distinct parts where surprise is so important. So the gray-green garden, listen how she describes it. This is for the property with an already established flower bed or border, which, theoretically at least, is a mass of brilliant color from the first tulip to the last chrysanthemum, and has, in back of it or close by, enough space to create a small, separate garden. This area, which should be at least partially screened off from the rest of the property, can be any size or shape you choose, depending upon its surroundings and the lay of the land. But the approach to this area should be through a blaze of color, and the entrance between shrubs flanked by beds of brilliant colors. The whole point of this is its shock value. You approach, the eyes dazed and exhausted by all this color, and parting the shrubbery, find yourself suddenly in a hushed, half-shaded sanctuary of muted greens and grays, with here and there splashes of white and palest pink. Against a dark shrub or evergreen, there is a wide bench where you can sit for a few moments to absorb the tranquility of this garden spot. Then, the eye rested and the mind refreshed, you go back through the shrubbery into an open world of sun and light and color. You will be surprised to find how much more beautiful Every flower seems to be when the eye is rested. Beautiful approach to the garden, where there's place for the rocket of colors, and then there is space where you can just see the difference, the surprise of the quiet space, right? I love it. And then let's go and see how she describes this, the hidden garden. This is the least expensive, the easiest to create, and to many gardeners may seem the most desirable. And again, the idea is surprise. It is a small garden. It must always be a small garden, and enclosed so that it holds a sense of secrecy. It is a quiet, hidden place of garden plants and rocks and birds that scratch around in the underbrush and make soft sounds. And it should have water somewhere, water trickling down over a rock or dripping into a tiny shallow pool, the pool edged with flat stones and ferns and simple plants. Nearby a low swinging branch upon which a bird could sit to contemplate the pool, a possible bath, and all this come upon suddenly, surprisingly, because you followed a stepping stone path through some bushes. Most country properties have somewhere an expanse of lawn, either major or minor, with some kind of shrubbery around its edge. Often this shrubbery hides the children's play area or the dying yard or vegetable garden or whatever utility make life easier for you. Possibly such an area could someday be transformed into a tiny hidden garden. The interior of this hushed and secret place should be kept clear of all fussy planting if it is very small, mostly ferns and half-wild ground covers, a few bulbs, and let there be rocks to give strength and depth and serenity to this small area, if possible, a large rock to sit on. And here comes the joke. How you're going to get the rocks there, unless they occur naturally, is your problem. But they will be well worth the necessary effort. I love reading this book. It's like going into that peaceful, serene country place and have an escape amongst the busy life, right? And then when we look at the December, in her book, she's offering to take a walk. Let me see, where is it? She's asking the readers to take a brisk winter walk. This is probably the last thing you want to contemplate after a holiday stuff, but nothing could be better for you, which is a dubious recommendation. Such a walk brightens the eye, reddens the nose, tightens the figure. The trouble with most winter walks is that they are usually pointless and consequently dull. All you get is exercise. So if you are a serious gardener, and you must be if you're still reading this book, here is a way to put fresh interest into winter walks. You make them treasure hunts for the many useful materials you can gather for free from wood or field or country roadside. Oh gosh, that's me, you know. You collect those treasures and lug them home to store wherever you store such things. Then return to the fireside so full of health, virtue, and thrift that you are insufferable to others. And of course, she has to end her book with a positive note about friends and friendship and gardening. So she's describing how you are returning from this trip, lugging everything behind you, all the treasures you collected, and she says this: by this time you will probably have had enough. What you do now is pray that you don't meet any of your fancy non-gardening friends as you trudge along, ballooning bags of wood and sticks, dragging old branches behind you, your nose running, you forgot the handkerchief, your person disheveled, your head full of spring dreams for next year's garden. But of course you do. The elegant car stops. the amenities are exchanged, and your friends drive on, commenting upon what gardening can do to an otherwise normal and intelligent person. It is surprising. Those are three last words of this book. So again, it's divided in 12 months, and every month is filled with just delightful stories appropriate to that month. I love it. I'm going to go slowly through this book, and if you're looking for something to read, this is one of those delightful gems I found recently. And you're welcome to share your recent, or maybe not so recent finds in gardening books. I'm sure we all will be ready to learn from each other and put those books into our reading list. So, my dear gardeners, I wish you all the best. Enjoy your winter days, and I will see you in my next video. Happy gardening!